Hey guys, today we're going to talk about coming off hormonal birth control and irregular cycles. So first I'm going to kind of go through the different reasons. This whole thing is just me kind of going through all the different reasons you could be having irregular cycles and what to do about them or what you need to know about them. The first phase in life where you may experience some irregular cycles is adolescence. So just because you've started having your period and your menstrual cycle doesn't mean that you're going to ovulate every single time. And so therefore, you may have longer cycles, shorter cycles, you may skip a cycle and not bleed for a couple months. So if you've just recently started your period and you're not having regular cycles yet, that's completely normal. The next two phases in your life where you could be experiencing some irregular cycles is when you're pregnant or breastfeeding and when you're headed into menopause. And I'm not going to talk too much about those because I think they're worthy of their own videos. And so when you're coming off of hormonal birth control, your cycles don't always become regular right away. And this is because of the oversuppression of the feedback mechanism of the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. This is where charting comes in so helpful because through your fertility signs, you can see if you're not ovulating and you can see if things aren't syncing up. And so the first sign that you should be charting is your temperature. So you can see that you have maybe false high temperatures or your temperatures aren't linking up to your fluid patterns. You can also see this through your cervical fluid. So maybe you're not getting that really fertile fluid, or it seems that you have fertile, watery, milky, creamy sort of fluid throughout the month, or you kind of have erratic dry patches, wet patches, and it's not in the pattern it should be in. And you can also see this in your blood patterns. So if your menstrual blood is heavier and redder than when you were on the pill, if you're having irregular post-ovulatory bleeding or spotting, and if you're having a poor menstrual flow, so it's barely there, it's another sign that you're not ovulating. Next, we're going to take a look at some of the deeper issues that could be going on causing irregular cycles. Okay, so the four that we're going to talk about here are luteal phase deficiencies, a low thyroid function, hypothyroidism, and underweight or inadequate body fat. So first is the luteal phase deficiency, and this is described as having fewer than 9 to 12 days of post-ovulatory elevated temperatures. PMS can be related to this. You can have premenstrual like brown spotting, and there's some other symptoms, but that's kind of, you just don't have a long enough luteal phase. So next, the low thyroid function has quite a few symptoms in relation to this, so I'm going to kind of reference to my computer, so when I'm looking over here, don't feel weird. So low thyroid function, you have unusually low basal body temperatures in the morning, long cycles, prolonged, less fertile mucus, a short luteal phase, anovulatory cycle, heavily bleeding, longer bleeding, notably lower sexual desire, PMS, painful periods, anxiety, mental confusion, intolerance to cold, weight gain, dry skin, hair loss, and ongoing fatigue. That's a lot. So the thyroid hormones affect pretty much all of your other hormones in your body, or are affected by other hormones in your body. And hormones are what control your menstrual cycle. So estrogen, progesterone, prolactin, and cortisol. Okay, so next we're going to move on to hypothyroidism. So it's kind of the opposite of the low thyroid function. You have unusually high basal body temperatures, light periods, short cycles, short luteal phases, excessive sweating, hand tremors, anxiety, elevated resting heart rate, weight loss, swelling in the neck. This is less common than the low thyroid function, and they say it's possibly from an iodine overdose. So it just looks at limiting your intake of iodine. Next is underweight or inadequate body fat. So you're going to have long cycles, very little cervical mucus, delayed ovulation, a short luteal phase, and anovulatory cycles, and amenorrhea. So the thing here is your body fat needs to be at least 22% of your weight to have healthy, normal, functioning menstrual cycles. And so fatty tissue is actually a really important source of estrogen for women. And so leaner women don't have enough estrogen and not as potent estrogen needed for the hypothalamus to start secreting the luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone. And so a lot of times leaner women have menstrual cycles much like pre-adolescent girls. So they pointed out if you have like a vegan or vegetarian diet and you're not getting the proper nutrients, that could be leading to irregular cycles. If you have an intestinal disorder or a food allergy, that could also be causing it. Or if your exercise schedule or I don't know what the word is. If you exercise too much and don't have enough body fat, that could also be a problem. They say like a lot of swimmers, runners, gymnasts, that kind of stuff, very active women, usually just stop having periods because they don't have enough body fat. And the scary thing about this is if you're not taking enough calories in, you're at risk of loss of bone mass, osteoporosis, fatigue, stress, and depression. So you want to make sure you're getting enough nutrients. So I'll list this next bit down below, but this is just some nutritional things to help the luteal phase deficiency, low thyroid function, and inadequate body fat. Some just vitamins or minerals and that kind of stuff to look in. So first, for the luteal phase deficiency, you need to look at getting more B6, and that helps regulate cycles, and vitamin C can increase progesterone levels, which is important in lengthening your luteal phase. So with the low thyroid function, you need to avoid trans fats found in processed foods and unfermented soy foods, and you need to be careful at consuming in moderation things like cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, kale, radishes, turnips, spinach, mustard greens, peaches, and pears. So you're still supposed to consume those things, but consume them in moderation. And it says that if you cook them up, it helps break down that enzyme that messes with your thyroid. And so the final one I'm going to talk about is inadequate body fat. So you need to start looking at getting more nutritional fats into your diet. So whole fat items, and you do not want to consume low fat, like diet items. You want to go for the whole fat because you want to get that good fat into your system. Also look at B6, B2, folic acid, calcium, magnesium, iron, and zinc, and vitamin E and fatty acids. Well guys, that was a lot to talk about. I hope I mentioned something in here that helps you, and you can go into further research on your own or bring it up to your doctor if you're really struggling with irregular cycles. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Today, the book that we're going to be talking about is Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Toni Weschler, and this is the